You want to be a young boss, but your sales are stuck. You're burned out trying to find the right people, and you end up doing all of the work yourself. You're bleeding money, and you're fighting to keep your business afloat. I've been there. I'm Isabel Guarino, and I've scaled businesses to millions, and I've watched ideas burn to the ground. And I know exactly what it takes to survive and win. This is Young Boss, the podcast that helps you break through the barriers standing between you and the business you deserve, where youth is your power. Have you ever been fired because of your sexuality? Alex Strubbe has, and instead of letting it break him, he used it to fuel a business built on authenticity, vulnerability, and unapologetic truth. From flunking OChem to going viral with creative campaigns, from spinning his way out of depression to consulting brands into clarity, Alex has lived the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Today, he's proof that the real power move isn't trying to be everything to everyone. It's owning your story, finding your people, and dropping the ego. Let's dive in. All right, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad we were able to finally get together.
Yes. So everyone who's listening to the show is a small business owner or wanting to get into that space. And your, services at Strubbe Consultants are literally what they need. You help businesses, get off the ground in regards to all aspects, whether it's ops, HR, finance, marketing. So how did you even get started in this type of business? Because you're like what every business owner wants. You are that partner.
I'm like like what they say in like the job applications, we're looking for the unicorn or the rock star. I'm like, yes. So my journey kind of started, let's rewind the clock back to like my time in college. So like every nice little Jewish boy, I got sent to University of Texas wanting to become a doctor. My mother was very excited. I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. She was like, great, I'm going to get all the free plastic surgery. And then I made it all the way to OChem and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And like the 88% of people, I flunked that class. And so I was like, crap, I need to switch majors quickly. So I was already almost a junior by that point. And so I was fortunate enough to get into the McCombs School of Business. And I was like, great, I'm here. What do I do? So I just literally interned everywhere. I was an intern at KView, which is our ABC affiliate here. I dabbled in law. I did like State Farm insurance. I was like, all right, let's just do anything and everything that we can. And I got my break on my last semester, a company called Personal Wine, which I'm still in contact with. The owner, who's also Alex, who's also a Jewish guy. But I came up with a very creative campaign. I don't know if you're a bachelor or bachelorette fanatic, but their tagline is, will you accept this rose? So Personal Wine was a wine gifting company. So I don't know if you've seen the Will You Accept This Rosé wine. So that is
so cute.
That's my product. So we
amazing.
Went viral, E! News and Us Weekly and all of that picked it up. So that's actually one of these things right there is featured from that. And I was like, okay, I'm good at talking to people. I think I'm funny and creative, like marketing. Let's try this out. And so during that time, I had experienced a whole lot of weight gain. And I was dealing with like internal battles, my depression and everything. And I was using marketing as like that outlet to like, you think like most comedians are like, oh, we're really funny because we're really depressed. Like that's kind of like how that was. And so I went to the Middle East for Birthright. So I was gone for 6 weeks. And during that time, I remember I was sitting there and I was like, okay, something has to change. I want to make a mark in the world. I want to make a mark with myself, meaning like get physically, emotionally, spiritually where I need to be. And how do I make this difference in other people's lives, right? Because I saw what it did for Personal Wine. So I was meditating in the Negev desert. I actually have that picture in my office and I look at that every day. That's like my inspiration. I was like, okay, we're going to do it. And as soon as I got home, I created the LLC and I immediately started taking on clients where they were like, hey, like, we don't have a lot of money. You seem like you know what you're doing somewhat. let's try this out, right? And so that was the kind of like unofficial birth of, Strubbe Consultants.
It's almost like the business was birthed when the new version of you was being birthed at the same time. So
Yeah.
how like integrated are those? How connected are those?
I mean, they're one and the same, because at that point, my productivity in my work got a lot better when spin is like my passion. I was a spin instructor. I've been a spin instructor now for like 12 years. But like I started as like the guy in the back row that could barely fit on the bike. Imagine me like 90 pounds heavier. Like I'm a stocky guy now, but like we had a little bit too many whiskey cokes back in the day. So and I set this goal. I was like, okay, like each row that I get up and comfortable is something that I'm going to take that same mindset into work, right? Like learn something new in digital marketing, learn something new, try this campaign out, step out of the box, right? Times it failed, right? It failed, whether at class I was like, this is too hard, let me sit down, or, a marketing campaign failed. So it's very much like, all that to say, it's like they're all very much married to each other on there. And, I finally came to terms with, my sexuality. I came out. It felt like that, like, was a big elephant, lack of a better term, like lifted off. And with that, I lost 80 pounds. I became a spin instructor at a very successful spin boutique studio here in Austin. And the rest just like kind of all the roadblocks just started opening up from there.
It's so interesting that the journey of weight loss is actually so similar to the journey of starting a business. And we don't talk about that often, but I'm excited to kind of dive into that with you here today, because I think that there's a lot of people when they start to lose weight and want to eat clean, and even showing up to a cycle class, what do you feel? You feel imposter syndrome. You feel like, I don't belong here. I'm the heavy girl, heavy guy in the back row who doesn't belong, and everyone's looking at me, and am I in the right place? Can I do this? Like when I order a salad, is everyone looking at me like, you don't want that, you really want the burger, right? And you feel imposter syndrome. And when you start a business, you feel the same thing. So how was it dealing with both of those versions of imposter syndrome at the same time? And did working through them together almost help? Because it's just like double this pile of, you're not worthy, you can't do this,
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And it's definitely one of those things where being a spin instructor, you are like literally putting yourself vulnerable on there, right? Because you're like, all right, I have to entertain these people paid $30 a bike on a bike that doesn't even go anywhere. And you're like, I gotta be like, Bubba the Clown, like entertain these people. And so I really just started being vulnerably honest. And I was like, hey, like I'm having a real shit day today. Sorry, I don't know if we can cuss, but I'm having a real shit day today. Like we're gonna do this. Like my music might be a little emo. We might play a little bit more Fleetwood Mac today, but we're gonna get the vibes, right? And so people started opening up and trusting. And with that trust in the spin room, they became to trust me outside of that. And hence like how I started getting more and more clients. They're like, hey, like you're in marketing, right? I just started this new company and I don't have a lot of budget, but like I trust you. So can you help me, right? And so it was one of those organic things. Like I have not spent any money on marketing before. It's all just been organic. It's been organic and word of mouth. And Strubbe Consultants is not this huge billion-dollar company, but it's definitely something where it's like I show up to work every day being with people that I truly respect and enjoy and doing what I love, which is making an impact in different people's lives.
What's some of the biggest mistakes small businesses make when they first start in their marketing journeys?
That they need to spend a shit ton of cash right away.
Oh, okay. Tell us more.
So if you do organic marketing right, meaning if you are going out in the community, but also like if you need to have your messaging right. So what I work with a lot of my clients is like, who is your person, right? Like what problem are you solving? You can't keep like mixing it back and forth and back and forth. There is a big clothing retailer that is a prime example of this. if we need to blur it out, then we can. But like Abercrombie, right? If you think back, Abercrombie back in the day was like, oh, we are only marketing to like the petite blonde California girl and then the ripped 6-pack guy. And that ended and they had to repivot and was like, actually, just kidding. That's not our demographic. That's not our why anymore. And it wasn't until recently that they have started to really shown popularity again, because they are now sticking true to what the original message is on there. So that's really the biggest thing, is you think about it as like how you have to stick tried and true of like, what is the purpose of the business? And I feel like people try oftentimes to like be a chameleon and change and be like, okay, well, this is in right now, or this is in, like, let's do this. And I'm like, it doesn't show authenticity if you're trying to do what everybody else does.
Yep, I love that. I do think that brands right now are leaning into authenticity because they're seeing that no one wants to just hear your USP over and over and over again. They want to know who's behind it, who works here, what do they offer, what do they bring to the table, what are their thoughts and opinions. They want to know more than just, this is what we stand for and core values and, you know, why we're different. And so how do you help a small business bring that out? Because I think when people get started, they are almost rigid in what they think they need to present. So how do you be like, okay, we're going to break out of that. We're going to be unique. We're going to be different, but we need to be you.
I tell them my story. I literally go into the vulnerability of like, listen, like, this is how my company, and even saying that is like weird, right? Like, I'm just like, okay, like, don't be a douchebag, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like one of those, it's like, this is how I got started. Was I was in this place. I knew the mission that I wanted, right? That mission has not changed in almost 8 years. And the people that I want to serve are the underdogs, right? It's like the people that don't have a 10-person department or the liquid cash to bring in these 6-figure C-suite salaries, right? And so it's like, how do you essentially show that same vulnerability, but in your, you know, I essentially tell them, I was like, now tell me who is your person, right? I've told you who my person is. Now that same casual conversation, tell me who your person is. And through that, then we kind of go through this like 18-step, like, okay, we've identified this is one of your target avatars. Then from there, what do they do? Where do they, you know what I mean? And so people oftentimes don't correlate that like psychology, sociology is a form of marketing, right? It is like, how do you speak to people? How do you, you know, get them, convince them to purchase your good or your service, right? And so it's all about like the certain color schemes, certain, you know, language that you use, so on and so forth, right? So it's like, you think about it like, I'll give you a case in point, is like, you go to the grocery store, right? Grocery retailers, we all know like the top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf, the whole thing. But when you walk into a grocery store, the red or whatever color little baskets are always to the right. And then any product that they need to liquidate or promote is always in there. Because Americans has a tendency, whether we know it or not, every time we walk into a building, we look right versus left. And that's the first thing that you see. So the next time you go to the grocery store, look and see where those little hand baskets are and what's right behind them or to the left of them.
Oh, they're trying to offload that.
Yeah, that's like the thing that they're trying to do.
Hey, it's Isabel from Young Boss, and if you have loved getting to hear from our incredible guests on the show, what are you waiting for? Go check out the amazing directory on the youngbosspodcast.com. We've listed all of their information, where you can find them, and more about their business, and so many of them want to connect with other amazing young bosses just like you, or they want to work with you. So go check it out right now, say hi, give them a follow, and make sure that you watch all of our guest episodes because we really have incredible young bosses on this show. And if you're looking to get on the show too, then make sure you leave us a comment so that we can connect with you as well. Check out the show notes for that directory or head to theyoungbosspodcast.com. Now, back to the show.
You know, there's so much studies around marketing and what we can do. And I think that the world is constantly changing and that now a lot of people have digital brands and you have to get trust digitally instead of, physical stores. So obviously, us growing up, we've kind of grown up in that digital age, but how has the teachings of marketing and what's out there been different to what you're seeing in real life? And how have you had to kind of like incorporate that and say, yeah, this is really what we have to do though, because the world is changing. It's different.
The world is changing, and it's one of those, the beauty with marketing is the numbers don't lie. You know what I mean? It's like the numbers don't lie. And so I will oftentimes show them of like, hey, like this is somebody that I always like to see in the initial kind of consult that I meet with them is like, who is your inspiration? You know what I mean? Like if you are a small mom and pop dermatology place, who is your inspo, right? Like let's do like a small inspo, medium inspo, and then like the Apple version of dermatology, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then we pull up their numbers and we pull up the campaigns and we pull up their lookalikes. And I'm like, okay, like these are the things that they are doing, right? Like we obviously don't have enough like ad spend or any of that, but let's start taking a page out of their book and then morph it into our messaging, into our why, into our target demographic. And that's typically showing them that kind of like 1-2 lookalike is where ultimately like they see that and they're like, okay, like let's try this. And it's a lot of like getting out of the ego too, right? Because as a business owner, you have this like protective egg of like, this is what I envision, this is what's gonna happen. Like I'm not going outside of these 4 walls. And I come in and I'm like, all right, like I see that, but now we're gonna make like a little pentagon. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna like reshape this little rigid square that you're in and let's push this out.
Everyone that I have hired, in our business to help with marketing, they always tell me like, hey, we so appreciate that you are game to try anything, right?
Yeah,
because you have to be. And I think that a lot of marketers get really frustrated, especially consultants. And I want to hear if you have any experience in this, where people hire you and you give all these amazing suggestions, you do your research, you know what's going to work. And then the CEO, owner, founder, whoever it is says, no, and they don't want to do it. And you're like, but this is what's going to help. So
I had a client last year and literally she popped in my head and I had to be like, listen, this is not going to work. I had to fire myself because I was like, I can't put my name or my heart behind something if you're going to be rigid. And then when we try it your way and then you're upset at the results, I'm like, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could have a magic wand and help you, but I can't. Yeah. So I have definitely dealt with that before. And I mean, it's one of those things where I hope that they will learn. But again, like you also need, as a consultant, you're kind of coming into the wolves because this person in particular had a bunch of yes people around them. And anytime that they said, no, this is not working, or this way that we do always works, they had their yes people around them saying, yes, of course. You know what I mean? Like, and so it was definitely a situation where I had to reflect on myself of like, is this my target audience? Is this somebody that is, yes, they are kind of an underdog, right? They're a smaller company, but if they're resistant to really trying to make the change, they then not become my avatar anymore. And I have to bow out.
So for our young bosses listening who need to hire someone like you, right? A consultant who can help them get their business to the next level. What is a piece of advice you would give for them before they hire someone like you? Something they need to consider, they need to look deep within to really say, is this the right fit?
Drop the ego. Things are going to fail. Things will not always come to for like original plan, but they will always work out if you are authentic and stay true to what the original purpose of the company is.
I love it. As you've gotten, further along in your business journey, what's been one of the biggest things that you have struggled with as you're bringing on new clients, as you're, working with teams, or saying, hey, I can't work with you, this isn't the right fit. What's something you've struggled with?
Keeping up with the Joneses. It's one of those things where you have the self-appointed fancy title and you're like, okay, now I need the fancy car. Now I need the fancy clothes. Now I need this, that, and the third, right? To like make the mold of what society and TV media has portrayed as what a boss is. And so I joke around using this reference, but Scott Disick, right? Like Scott Disick in the first few seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians always wore like the two-piece suit and like the nice loafers. I literally was that guy where I would wear like the Hermes belt and like the nice pressed button downs, and I never, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you see Scott in the later seasons where he's a little bit more relaxed. This is literally like one of his like
Hoodies. Yeah.
and that's how I dress, is like I dress kind of a comfort street style, but my confidence has gone up because I'm not trying to keep up with what, the labels and the material and all of that stuff. Yes, of course I have nice things, but I'm doing it for myself, not for society to judge me on as what a CEO should look like, act like, be like. And I think that authenticity has helped in business to where people are like, okay, like you're not one of those, you know what I mean? Like that's going to feed me a bunch of BS because you're authentically yourself down to like what you're wearing and how you're talking. You're not going to BS me with everything that, you can promise me the moon, the stars, and the sun all alike.
Talking about being authentic, I know you shared, in part of this journey that you came out. And I think that that's something that being in Texas, right? Maybe not Austin so much, but being in Texas.
Being in Texas in general, it's yes.
It could be, something that maybe people literally say, I don't want to work with you because we view things differently and because maybe they don't agree, with your lifestyle. And so how have you had to overcome that and deal with that as, a gay business owner?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did have somebody that after they had found out that I was gay, right? It's not like I'm over here, farting rainbows and you know what I mean, like all of that stuff. But it is part of my identity. It is not my whole identity. My contract was terminated on there because it went against his values as a Christian. And so I've had it because I'm Jewish. I've had it because I'm gay. I take it on the chin of like, I am not everybody's cup of tea, but I also believe like the universe is like, okay, that is not somebody you want to associate your brand with. You know what I mean? And he was very successful. He had a huge home business brand, but ultimately we parted because, and I still have the text to reflect on, of like him sending me this long thing of X and Y brand does not support homosexuality, and therefore, we are ending it immediately.
It's so crazy to think that we live in a world that people can't, work together because of differing values or differing beliefs. And especially then things have been happening over, the last, weeks, how much divide there is seemingly in our country right now. And, as you think of this, where do we take this? Like how do we move forward as business owners? What do you see in the future for this? Is it something where you have to lay all your cards on the table and say, do you want to work with me? This is all, every single thing you may disagree with me on, or is it something that we need to have more compromise with? How do you see it?
It's definitely a balance. For me, I kind of do a little bit of speed dating. Especially like if I'm meeting a client and it's a female client, I will like feminize my voice a little bit and I'll be like, you know what I mean? To be like, all right, like, are you catching the vibes? Are we understanding? And I'm sure like some people might find that controversial. Sorry. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, like no creeper vibes here. But it's one of those things too, where it's like, if you truly want your business to be successful, you shouldn't give a shit of like what the person does outside of either the 9 to 5 or their contracted hours. Like if they are supporting your business and your business goals, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I would hope most people with a common sense wouldn't care. But that goes back to the original thing of when you had asked me, what is the one thing you tell business owners is get rid of your ego. That is part of your ego. Is that everybody that works with you, for you, so on and so forth, has to 100% agree with you. That is such BS. And that is the one way that these companies start to fail, is when you have a bunch of yes people around you, they will clap your way down the sinkhole.
Clap your way down, giving you the yes, keep going. This is amazing. And then you are starting to fail. I love it. I actually really do love knowing that people on my team think differently than me, because I agree with you. Sometimes I might feel something, and we do get sucked into the thought process of saying everyone thinks like me. Why wouldn't they? Duh, this is the right way to think, right?
Yeah.
Not so much. And when you surround yourself with people of differing views, differing cultures, differing backgrounds, I think that it gives you more of that global perspective that no, there are many ways to view one circumstance, and you need to be, as a business owner, mindful of that, courteous of that, respectful of that, because there is not a cookie cutter way to live life these days.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Okay, in regards to marketing and the ego that business owners have to put down, as you are helping launch someone and get them to the next level, right? A lot of times we're using media, social media, whether it's videos, podcasts, different things that a business owner might be putting out, ads, whatever it is.
Yeah.
With that comes haters, right? People. So how do you help your business owners to be able to work through that and understand these comments are going to come, it's going to happen? How do you help them get through that?
I tell them everybody hates, and for lack of a better term, they hate that I use this analogy, but I'm like, everybody hates the Kardashians. Everybody hates them. They wipe their tears with $100 bills all the time. And so what I will say is, yes, of course, some press is not good press, but if you are getting reactions from people, your messaging is hitting, whether it's good or bad, right? Obviously, there's the outliers, like if you post something super shitty or, all of that, let's have a heart to heart and evaluate that. But I will often get the frantic text of like, oh my God, I got one, angry reaction on Facebook to an ad. And I'm like, hey, our money's being well spent. That's going to help our algorithm, right? And I make almost like a light heart of it to talk them off the ledge, right? Because I understand like these small to mid-sized businesses, they don't have a lot of capital to throw away. So they are literally counting every Facebook dollar or every Google dollar or every, time spent filming things and, coming up with printals and all of this stuff, right? So I kind of walk them off the ledge of like, hey, like I go back to the big obnoxious one. I was like, everybody trashes the Kardashians and they're worth like multi-billions of dollars. And our goal is to hopefully be the X version of the Kardashians in X space, right?
Yep. It comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. Listen, Strubbe Consultants is not big and I have haters. And I'm like, y'all should all be friends and then you'll have something in common.
Yeah.
You have to hit it with humor.
You could be my hate club. I love it.
Love it.
Okay, one piece of advice that you were given in your journey as a business owner that's just stuck with you.
The best piece of advice is always have multiple baskets of fries. I know that's like the original fat boy in me, but it's don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Always diversify. So I always try to diversify my clientele in terms of like the industry, the space, because I want to learn more, right? Obviously that can be interpreted many ways of like, don't put, always have multiple streams of income or always have multiple, types of people that have a different viewpoint with you. Or for me, it's like, I want to learn new things. I have been in cannabis, I've been in food and beverage, in real estate, in dentistry, med spas, fitness. And I'm like, I'm just 31, And so the life has a long trajectory away and I can't wait to learn more. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to be carrying on a big old basket of McDonald's fries because I'm going to continue to learn new things.
I love it. Well, it has been so fun chatting with you. I know so many of our listeners are going to want to connect with you, maybe even hire you. Where can they find out more information about Strubbe Consultants?
So shameless plug, at Strubbe with 3 B's, because somebody had at Strubbe with 2 B's, which if you're listening, you suck. At StrubbeConsultants.com.
Okay, perfect. We will put the links in the show notes. Go give him a follow. Go check it out. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Isabel. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, youth is your power.